Hey, I'm Big Bad Brick, and I got with me my co-host Zany Bricks.
Hello.
And our guest Down Under Bricks, and this is that other Lego show where we're the AFOL show by AFOLs for AFOLs and about AFOL shit. Trying to fit as many AFOL into one sentence as I can, and I keep expanding the sentence in the description.
So tonight we have with us Down Under Bricks. Down Under Bricks is a YouTuber that I think started around the same time that I did. He became much more popular much quicker because he actually builds really cool stuff. And he has this. I know I got turned on to him from his Old West City, which is sort of a unique aspect that sets him apart from other builders, I think, on YouTube at least. I know there's a lot of other Lego people that have done that in lugs and whatnot at shows, but it's not something I've seen on YouTube otherwise, really, at least to the extent that he did his. So with that, Down Under, you want to tell us a little about you?
G'day guys, thanks for having me on today, the AFOL only. So just want to say a good fucking good day. I got up Aussie, you see.
That's the secret word of the day too. Good day.
Okay then.
You gotta say good day.
He said he threw the F-bomb as soon as he could, so I thought I'd try and beat him.
There's some shrimp on the barbie.
We went for
But
like.
Yeah, no, thanks for that, Zany. The Western town is definitely something I love, but doesn't tend to get the views that I thought it might. But anyway, that's not what it's about with YouTube. It's just building what you love, and I love the Western town, and I'm actually going to be making a bit of a comeback with the Western town soon, planning to start a new layout for it. So that's pretty exciting. And
I think Western towns and mocks are highly underrated. I'm a fan.
So I love the Victorian style of architecture, and the Western, a lot of the Old West had that, it borrowed from that Victorian style. It had this sort of bastardized, cheap down version of Victorian architecture, and it became a very distinctive thing in the Southwest, or a distinctive look to it. You have these towns that all look the same. They're sort of quasi-Victorian, but not really. So it's awesome that you do that. The amount of flexibility you could build, you have this smaller layout right now, but as you expand that, I mean, the effort that you put into your normal modular Lego city, if you took those techniques and adopted them into the Old West style with doing actual cafe corner style mocks, but Old West themed, and not going for just the strict brick or the log layout type look, you can have an amazing looking city, and you really have a ton of room. It's something I've been thinking about a lot as far as themed Lego cities, and when I built this city, it became just sort of unitheme where everything was included. But you can do some really cool stuff as far as it may not be a city, but maybe an Old West ghost town that you have lots like a city, and you build a lot of individual mocks put together. And I don't know, your town was really what turned me on to your channel, and it inspired me to think outside the box a little bit.
Yeah, and definitely I went with a more simplified style with those builds, with the proviso that I would go back and look at those again. It was really just trying to flesh out a town, and so I really want to do that. I really want to go back and look at pretty much each of the buildings again. I definitely want to do another saloon and do it more of a modular style, try some new techniques, and basically just try and improve on what I've done. But it just costs a lot of money, as you guys know.
Yeah, it definitely does. That's one thing. There's no way around that, unfortunately. Unless you're Big B and you decide to stalk Walmart and steal Lego from little children.
Yeah, well, Big B's helping me out a little bit. I just dropped him an order today, so a lot of that is for the Western town. I've got a new project which I'm looking forward to working on.
Mum's the word. Mum's the word, mate.
Mum's the word.
I'm looking, now that you told me, I really want to see it.
And then a lot of that brick is for terrain as well. And I've actually been looking at your city, Zany, and just trying to work out a style of terrain. Basically, I don't want to put in a lot of brick to have elevation and that sort of thing. I'm looking at that for the city down the track, but it just takes so much brick. So I actually went back and watched one of your city videos and just looked at I like the style that you've just laid plate out and just coloured up the plate to get a different look to the terrain. So that's what I'm going to look at doing. I did do a little bit myself, just using random plates, small plates, 1x1s, 1x2s, and just spreading it out, but I didn't really like it. I think I'm just going to go with more of that patchwork type of landscaping.
And when you look at it, I mean, how I decided on mine was I looked at my backyard after it had rained for like a month straight, and I had like splotches of mud in it. And when I was doing the terrain, that's what I think about is those natural patterns where you're not going to see these stripes or striations in the landscape necessarily unless if you're in a rocky mesa. The only thing you're going to see are basically, if it's dirt, you're not going to see a lot of grass either unless if it's maintained. You're going to see a lot of dirt, mainly dirt. And that's what I have in my city. It's dirt and different shades of dirt, and then some dark green like moss on the dirt. That sort of thing. And then some plants. Eventually I'll get plants filled in there. But for right now, I figure the plants need to come last. Because at least last in the terms of when the buildings are all in there, or else it's a waste because I'll be building each one out of brick. So
I like that with you, like especially how you can just sort of come into a like tan onto a reddish brown and then into a dark brown in the center just to show that it's wet mud or whatever. And I like that. So I'm gonna give that a go and just try and patch it up a little bit and then over time fill it in a little bit more. But I was looking at trying with just slight elevation in the landscape, but I'm just going to go one plate at this stage and then just see how that goes.
Yeah, that's what I did. And, Big B even gave me crap initially about wanting to build on plates on top of base plates, that I was wasteful. Basically, why don't you just build directly on plates, or why don't you build directly on colored base plates? And I just didn't like the look of base plates, but I wanted that base plates to tie them together underneath the plates because I like to sort of join things at corners, and I have I like things to be stable and connected, where if I bang one side, it's not going to shift anything because it's all stable.
Locked in.
Yeah. I like to be able to drop something and not half the city knocked down.
Yeah.
So one plate that's sort of the look that I like that as a base, and I started building up like mounds because that was always intended as a base layer of terrain, and then I'd start building up on top of that. I have started doing that lately with like mounds of dirt and whatnot, and then an entire corner is up on a little hill and textured upwards. I'm working on it. I think a lot of it has to do with maturing with building styles and really understanding different building techniques and how to correctly utilize them.
When you're building one plate high across the base plates, say you're going to have a road with a path by the side of it.
Yeah.
Are you going to now be too high, or are you going to put the plates and tiles on the base plate to make that happen?
Asphalt would go at dirt level, and how my brain thinks is asphalt would go at dirt level. Anything that would lay on top of asphalts would go at layer 2. So like any paint or any sort of like reflectors in the middle, they would go at layer 2. Layer 1 though would be dirt and asphalt at the same layer. That's how I would think about it, at least, because naturally that's what the elevation profile would look like.
Right, right.
And that's what I think, whenever I look at anything, I think about what the natural elevation profile is, and I sort of stick with that. I don't just like I assume that something has height because it may look like it has height.
Unless you got those embedded reflectors, like in those through the West Virginia mountains.
Yeah, and actually I have something like that in one of the parking lots that are completely flush because it's all flush with the rest of the parking lot and the parking structure that I'm building. I'm really like weird anal retentive.
That makes sense to me. Even architecturally, that makes sense to me because when you were talking about civil engineering last hour, also don't forget once a month Zany Bricks is going to be having a one-on-one sort of interview type of show over on his channel with one of the master builders that we're lucky enough to have on YouTube with us. But so like we were saying with the asphalt, so like when you put down an asphalt road, you pound down earth and then lay over it. So naturally asphalt wouldn't be on one plate level, but a goat path would be.
But there's an assumption also with my city that everything is already at a certain level. So at least in my mind, when I look at it, like I see the roads, I can't build depth into the roads beyond what's already there. So I have to base everything mentally off of that. So I like think of sea level +1, sea level +2. I think really convoluted for just laying it out, but at the same time it makes sense to me.
Yeah. So if you started 1 brick high, you'd be able to do depth.
Yeah, if I started 1 brick high, and actually I was going to start my entire city 20 bricks high, because I wanted to be able to do the depth into it. However, at the time, I realized that I just did not have the technical expertise and experience with Lego and understanding their tolerances to be able to effectively do a city all built on effectively 20 brick high stilts.
Well, that'll be something that you'll be able to do with your son at the other house in his city, and be awesome teaching lessons too, as we all as parents get out of when we build with our kids.
Yep.
So Zany wanted to start off the show before we even began and made sure that DownUnder knew that we had this very structured format. And in the first 15 minutes, there was the audience interaction where we say hi to you, how you doing, all that good happy crap. And then right after I introduced these two fuckers,
so now Big B Bricks is going to take over and do the shout-outs.
How you doing, everybody? And Zany went right into it with the Q&A over to Dub, and Dub went right down to it. So that's good, though, because that's the same thing that happened last week, and I think I like that better. I think I do like that better, because that's what everybody wants to see. Like, nobody wants to be like, hey, what's going on? Brick Build Meister, Brick Blaze, Spirit Particles, Ozzy Bricks is in the house, building with Dada and Riley, otherwise known as Dirty Uncle Patrick, Howie stuff, Brick City Builder, like. Although that could turn into something. Hypersync.
Patrick on here because Ozzy flaked and Patrick came to the rescue.
No more bricks. And so yeah, the secret word of the day is g'day.
G'day.
And when you hear the word. When you hear the word
g'day,
you are supposed to imbibe. And
so what you drinking?
We had a couple words in the beginning here that people were saying, and those are all words that we would like Dub to say in the show with the cool Australian accent. So the first one would be cucumber.
Cucumber.
Next word would be eggplant.
What
the fuck? You want me to say eggplant? Eggplant.
Right. That one wasn't as cool. Cucumber was pretty cool. Squash.
Squash.
And then
I know where you're going with this right now.
You yourself picked banana.
Banana.
And I picked pineapple.
Pineapple. There we go. We got all that out of the way now. There's no more of that.
That was disturbing that you just went through that. That was, I don't know. That was creepy in and of itself. In some way.
It was.
I don't know
And-
how it was. It just was.
And now that whole
Feel
uncomfortable stage is over with.
Yeah, I feel dirty after. I feel like I need a shower after being.
Yeah, it's like a doctor's visit after the age of 40. You know, you just feel dirty afterwards.
Cup and cough.
You get more than that after 40, brother.
I know. Don't I know it? So I'm just going to put this schedule in disarray a little bit and just go back there because I like that topic you're talking about with the slight elevation and the initial design phase of
Sure.
how you build up to like a footpath or whatever. And that's a little bit of a dilemma I had thinking about that landscaping I want to do with the western town. But because my buildings are already one brick up, I sort of have that advantage that I can build up to them. And my thinking is eventually is sort of like building the landscape or the dirt or whatever up on one side of the building, like over time how that's shifted and you can actually have it coming up to the side of the building and that sort of thing. But yeah, I was just interested that you brought that topic up because I've put a bit of thought into that myself.
Yeah.
Which I didn't all for my city.
Yeah, I was, like I said, that was the biggest compromise that I made was when I decided to do the new layout, I compromised and decided to start out at basically net zero sea level. So everything, the roads were at zero. I wanted to do 20 bricks high. I'm actually expanding. I built this table, and that was the cool part. I built the platform with the specific intent to eventually build a layer below it that was 30 bricks high. So I had that in place in some areas, and I started building a subway underneath there, and eventually I could put it with little pathways to crawl underneath there and actually get to every place. I could do an entire subterranean area underneath the city on the platforms, but I don't know whether I'm really going to do that. I've been sort of expanding out into islands on the side.
How did you get that height of a child crawling underneath a passage with 30 bricks? Is that just an estimation that a child would only be 30 bricks high to have to crawl through there to adjust stuff, or?
No, it's higher than 30 bricks, way higher than 30 bricks. I crawl underneath my table all day long.
30 bricks high?
No, not 30 bricks high. That's how deep I was actually going to put that layer, though. It's not going to be the full depth of the storage. I was just going to put a 30 brick high depth. The 30 bricks high was due to the positioning of the shelf across all of the platforms that the base plates would sit on.
I'm just saying that if I had something that was 30 bricks high and level in between in a city, my daughter would try to crawl through there.
Oh, well, you could do that, but you can crawl below it anyways because it's all going to be basically suspended above. Yeah, either way. It
wouldn't matter for them.
Yeah, so that will be there, but hopefully there'll be enough detail filled into there that there will not be enough space for small children to crawl through and get caught in. I'm going to work on that. That's probably going to be a 2017 project, though. And the 2016 with the baby and everything, I'm going to just... The only thing I'm going to be working on is just these islands that I've been building, these 2 feet by 4 feet, like, tables or storage racks that I have, the top of them. I've been layering base plates on the top of all of them and like doing these little individual islands or chain of islands around the outside of the room.
Overflow City?
Yeah, basically Overflow City. So I like have a research island with the Death Star, like half the Death Star cut in half, used as a research platform, and it has stuff on there. And
have you thought about bringing in, say, the Norse religion in order to have a cloud city above your...
No, I've thought about the whole suspended anything, and for right now, I'm gonna go away from, or just stay away from it. There's limits. I don't want to suspend stuff because then it limits me in other areas when I start doing that. I don't like to build on top of things I'm going to be changing constantly.
What would you do if you ran out of room down under?
Well, I've just put a third table into the city.
Or what changes would you make? I mean, planning ahead. What would you do now that you could have done then?
Probably build a new shed. But yeah, no, it's definitely a tough one because with the city, definitely having two tables and filling that out, and then the only way is up. So I started looking upwards. But now I have put a third table in. It's definitely a challenge, that's for sure. Because my problem is I collect too much stuff, and then want to display it as well. So
who tells you these lies?
So supposedly we had a Lego room, but then I had to build a second Lego room. So at this stage, I'm not doing too bad for space. A lot of people I know are probably envious of the space I have, but and the leeway that the missus gives me. But
so is the room is where you are right now? Is that sort of a converted breezeway?
It was our old carport.
Okay.
Yep. So so I closed it in, and I've got a pretty big shed. It's 8 meters by 16 meters. So I've got a huge shed. So we just park the cars up there, and I enclose the carport. So knocked part of the wall out, that sort of good stuff. And yeah, so now it's my own little cave.
So it wouldn't be too hard to expand upon that room. Say, a couple fingers of bourbon, a chainsaw.
Well, in saying when I enclosed this, because originally I had a patio along the back of the house, and I enclosed that. So then when I built this Lego room, enclosed the carport, I actually built a patio off the end of the house, and it's 8 meters. What is it? Yeah, 8 meters by 6 meters, and I built it in a way that I can always enclose that. So the day will come that I will enclose this, and I'll knock the walls out that I have here and just go straight into it. So
was the patio build for the wife before she got into it in exchange for you getting the old carport and her having to walk further to the house?
It was pretty much that she still wanted to have a patio, so she got her patio, and she got what she wanted. I got what I wanted, but I built it in a way that what I want.
I'm getting that out of what you're saying. But she's totally down. But the thing is I mean, she's totally down with Lego now. I mean, we all know and joke about it that you got Lego under the bed. You guys build in the bedroom, which is cool as all get out. So I mean,
is it though?
Yes.
Do you want Lego in the bedroom?
What's wrong with sleeping on top of Lego, Zany?
I don't know. I think I have a limit. The Lego does not go in the bedroom. I have, outside of the Lego room, the only set that I have in my house is a bird set, and I have that up on the mantle because it looks sort of neat. I like the bird set, but the Lego doesn't leave the Lego room outside of that, I guess.
No, my wife is totally cool with it. She supports me 100%, and that's the best thing about it. I actually say sometimes that it can actually be the worst thing about it, because I'll say, oh, I really like this set, but it's expensive. I shouldn't get it. And she'll be going, yeah, just get it. I'm thinking sometimes you just should tell me no.
Just so I can feel a little bit of guilt.
Yeah, I mean, you have that insane sealed set collection, too, on top of it all, though. You have your addiction goes beyond just having the Lego City and the sets built in your room. You have the sealed ones.
and that's the thing I try to get across to people, that they're only sealed because either one, I haven't got the time, or two, I haven't got the space at the moment. They will
Yeah,
definitely
I get
be
that,
open.
but when you just look at how much you have in addition to what you already have out, it's insane. And then you keep adding to it.
Oh, no.
I've came to a point where I have to stop because I know if I keep just buying Lego, I'm gonna have to expand out. I need to actually stop, catch up, part out all the stuff that I have, or do whatever I'm gonna do with it, and then once I'm done with that, then buy more Lego. Except for one set of every set that comes out until forever. But other than that, I need to stick with not buying excess sets.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, I hear
Rick
you,
and
man.
Justice
I
saying
hear you.
that your wife is the wife of the year, and Hypersync's saying that they have a Lego house as well, and they have one bathroom that is the non-Lego bathroom, and I think that's probably the same as our house as well. Like the bathroom upstairs, that's primarily my wife's. There's no Lego in there at all, but of course there's Lego in the bathroom downstairs that the kids use, and in both their rooms, in the living room, and probably on the kitchen table, and everywhere else. That they
There's not
that
many.
they left it when they decided to do something else.
We have a spare room, and I used to keep all the investment sets I've got in that room. But when I shot that video a month or so ago, and I took them all out. I've actually got them stacked up in the corner of this room now. But I keep looking at that spare room and thinking, what could I do with this? We don't need to have a bed for guests.
How often do we really get guests? The kids
Sleep
can just
on the
bunk
floor.
together. Just bunk together. It's only going to be a couple nights.
I don't know. I like to have my Lego contained, I guess.
And we definitely have Lego in the bedroom because my wife helps part out. But it's definitely all right. It's time to get it out of here. Get it in the store.
I did. My home office did become my Lego room, though. So now when I have to actually work at home, I have to work in my Lego room, which is not always productive. At least as productive as it should be, because I'll get distracted at times.
Yeah. It's more productive for the Lego.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that. But I just don't want more room. I like being limited to what I have in here because then it at least forces me to sanity check what I do and not just build recklessly.
Yeah. One day I'll get to that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I hear you with adding to it because I've certainly looked ahead this year to see what's coming out and to see how I can restrict myself a little bit, especially with the Star Wars, and I'm going to try and be a little bit harsher on myself this year and not buy as much. But in saying that, with the Lego channel doing so well, I kind of feel like I have to do it to help with the Lego channel as well. So.
Oh, you do. You totally do.
Yeah. So,
at least 96 more more studs forward.
and I mean, I never thought my channel would ever do anywhere near what it has. So it's something I definitely want to keep pursuing, and just who knows where it might end up. It was just to do it for a lark and take the piss out of myself, sort of thing, out of myself. And yeah, but I don't know, people seem to enjoy it.
So we were discussing before the show about how you went into a dark age and you came out, and how you really sort of achieve a balance where you include your family with your Lego, but they are not part of your Lego YouTube personality. So do you want to, or can you sort of give us a background as far as how you do that, how that came to be? how you came out of your dark ages and integrated with your family, the whole Lego scene?
Basically, came out of my dark age when my son was born in 2010, and I always say it gave me an excuse to go back into the toy aisle of the department stores, and walked in there, and for the first time, because obviously as a young fella I was right into Lego, collected space, classic space was my gig. I liked a lot of other stuff, but just obviously being I've got 4 brothers and sisters, so it's quite a big big family. Like 2 brothers, 2 sisters, and so basically it was just to stay on track with one theme. I love Castle and a lot of the other stuff that came out in the city and that sort of stuff. The Pirates, love the Pirates, but focused on the classic space. So basically as a adult going back into Lego, into the toy aisle and seeing Lego Star Wars was just mind-blowing, because I didn't even know Lego were doing Star Wars. So walked in and just thought, you beauty, I'm going to start putting this away for the boy, because I would have loved it as a kid. So I'm going to start buying it. So I was just buying Lego, got a little bit out of control, and I was pretty much filled up a wardrobe in the house of Lego. And the missus said one day, she said, I don't think you're buying this for Jack. So she said, why don't we build some? So we pulled some sets out and started building together, and we just had a great time, and it just snowballed from there. And I probably collected for close to a year before that happened, and yeah, and we just started building, and it really was just something we really enjoyed doing together. Just pulling a set out on a weekend and having a build, and just having a chat over a couple of drinks or whatever, and it was just a good way to relax at the end of the week and just chill out. And it kind of just sort of grew from there. The city all came about because of the missus. She loved the modulars. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the modulars too, but she was the driving force to start collecting the modulars. And basically the city just started from putting modulars together, and we had a row of modulars, and then she said, oh, let's put a street in front of them. So we put a street, and it just grew from there. And at one stage, she was on one table, so a 4 by 8 foot piece of ply on a table. She had her modulars and a bit of a city set up, and I had the western town on the other end. And so she'd work on the modulars, and I'd work on the western town. So it was really just something we enjoyed doing together, basically. And I mean, we've always pretty much done everything together. We live in a small rural area, so there's not a lot happens for us. So we keep each other company, and that's what we started to do. And yeah, it really just snowballed, mate. I don't know what else to say there, but she definitely, with the city, she'd say, I'd really love to do this, but she doesn't. She always says she doesn't have the skills to do a modular or a custom build or anything, so she'd just say, this is what I want, and then I'd do it. And then once it got so big, it really just came to the stage where we have to focus on actually having a nice looking layout, and that's when I sort of got more involved with it and just helped out with putting it all together, so it had sort of a bit of a flow to it. And that's what I look at with the city when we do it, is just having some sort of consistent flow throughout the whole build, which is not easy to do when you're throwing a lot of different sets from different themes and that sort of thing in. So I know you take someone like Ozzy, I know he's trying to do that now, and he puts a lot of different themes into his city, and I think that's a challenge he's got at the moment, is having some sort of consistent flow through the city.
Right. Yeah, I've struggled with that myself. I mean, I mix in everything in my city, and I have no shame about doing so. I try to, however, whenever I do so, I have to mentally justify it. So I have to tie it to a storyline or something in my brain, and that's if I don't do that, it just doesn't make sense to me, and it is what it is. Um, Becky is a lot of the same way with the city. She gives me a lot of great ideas, and she sort of directs the sort of architects some of the buildings, but I just engineer and implement them. And then the detail, she loves to go through and add detail to things
Yeah.
and integrate the city. So so you like to build sets with your wife. Do you have any sets that you ran across that were ideal builds for multiple people to build together?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably the best set that I've built with someone, and it actually wasn't the missus, it was a mate of mine, was the UCS Death Star 2.
Oh yeah?
See up there, and that is because it's basically identical in the two halves. So we could sort of build alongside each other and sort of have a bit of a race as we went. So that was a bit of a lark that night, as you can imagine, with a few Jimbos and and a couple of two clowns egging each other on. So that was a good night. I'll always remember that. It was a very fun build. But yeah, no, that definitely is a problem. What we did a lot early on was my wife she has this sick perversion of actually liking to sort Lego, which is something I don't understand. And so we would build, and she would actually sort the pieces out as we went. So it made the builds go a lot quicker. And then we'd do that for a while, and she'd get ahead, and then we'd swap over, and she'd build for a while, and then when we sort of got behind, she'd go back and start sorting the Lego. But yeah, it definitely is a problem. It's something that I think Lego should look at more when they're doing the instructions for a set, and how they could lay it out is actually have sets designed where it is easier to do builds. And I think the problem what they're actually going the other way now is because before you could actually get a couple of instruction books and you could separate, and something like a modular, you could start on the second floor while someone's doing the first floor. But now they're looking at sort of saving paper and bringing that into one instruction book, and that's just making it harder again. But I know what you're going to say, Zany. You say someone just has an iPad and they can be looking ahead in the instructions.
No, actually, I was going to say the same thing as you. I've noticed the opposite trend lately. Like the Ghostbusters headquarters, I like the fact that it was one book in some sense, but on the other hand, it's a huge modular.
Yeah.
And it's completely modular down to every single little cubby. You can split it into 13 different builders, and they could all build it concurrently, and it would all be fine.
Yeah, but is that going to happen more often than the one guy sitting by himself, or gal sitting by themselves, building it by themselves? I mean, that's what the most likely buyer is going to be.
It is. However, I did like in the case of like the Ghostbusters were so huge, I would have liked to split into two manuals, because then at least you could have split up the two things.
Yeah, because it's just an enormous set, and it's very few people are gonna buy it. It's not like a modular where it's more obtainable.
It's huge.
Yeah, I just think with it, it's just a matter of splitting the instructions up. I like when they do that, and honestly, how much are they really saving by combining it into one instruction book? I mean, a cover.
I agree with you. I like it. I like the city builds. Most of the city builds, I think, have multiple books that we can do, because they also have a building and a vehicle.
Yeah. Like the firehouses, they're always good about. I mean, are they doing that with the new firehouse? Are they making it into one book now? Because that would be a shame. Because like those ones, they're younger children, and even just not being one book, being separate books allow them to put it together and be done with it, and not like have to go back and bookmark a page.
Is the new Firehouse out now?
Yeah, the new Firehouse is out. I've seen it out. I just haven't looked at it. I'm not going to buy it.
I have to go back and check our Lego store because they just did that 20% off on City.
Yeah, it's been out since the Firehouse.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a way to encourage group building and family building, and to me that's what Lego is, and that's what I'm doing more and more with the boy now is building together. That's what it is, and it's hard to do that when you're sort of trying to use one instruction book and work together. So I think they really need to look at that.
Yeah, when there's one instruction book, it's definitely one person fetching bricks, another person building.
Yeah.
Unless you know the build, and then you can grab a second set on an iPad or something, and you can split up where you guys can split it up. But if you don't know the build and it's not already logically split, there's not a lot you can do.
Yeah, and the worst thing about that is when I build with the boy is because there isn't that separate build that you can do together. I let him build, but then I'm sort of grabbing the pieces and trying to help out that way. But as a young builder, he's better off doing that himself and finding the brick and putting it together rather than me helping out. So, yeah, I kind of wish they went back the other way. Hang on, fellas.
Speaking of which...
Yeah, I find that actually I like it with the city sets because if you do have vehicles and a building in the same set, you also have sort of a different level of how the difficulty for the build. So with us, I mean, we've got definite levels of building. I was talking with Patrick about that. Like my daughter just struggles with building sometimes, and my son is just boom, and she's frustrated with seeing him build. So it's cool to be able to break out the same set and have her be able to build the car and him be able to build, the building. And both of them be building at the same time, and neither of them get frustrated because the level of difficulty of each of the instructions is suited for them.
Right. So, and I want to see personally where the new city sets, and I think that will be a good indicator as far as what direction they're going, is to look at the new Firehouse, and especially since it is 3 different distinctly modular pieces. If they collapse that into a single book, then that's the direction they're going overall, and they don't really care about the group building aspect, I think, because those sets are catered towards that demographic.
Yeah.
The group build, and especially they always have been. They've always been like 7 different books with little builds, so you could have a little kid do a little one and whatever. It's almost like it was made for family type build.
Yeah,
but
and
we'll see.
I really hope they don't, because there's just something about, and maybe it's because I'm old, but something about the instructions being just a little bit more part of it than being on an iPad or a device.
Right. So we had discussed before the show that you had been working on some notes around planning that you wanted to discuss. You want to go into that?
Good day.
So, okay. Big B had this show. Big B had this show on YouTube called That Other Lego Show, and I guess he doesn't want to be on it anymore.
Wow.
I don't know. If you want to, do you have a thing around planning, or do you not?
Yeah, okay. So my thoughts. Obviously, there's a little bit. There's some change behind me, and I finally have expanded one wall of the room, and the whole time I was just kicking myself in the ass. It's just like, if I had planned ahead and thought about it, like your Lego collection is going to grow, no matter what, no matter how hard you try, no matter what you hold yourself to, it's going to grow and it's going to expand to the size of the room that it's in. And it's proven. Probably I get scientists in on this shit, and they'll back me. But why didn't I just fill the whole wall at one time? And in my condition, I couldn't, because the entire area behind me was just this stack of boxes. But in yours, you won't be in that state. And my advice to you is just plan ahead. You know it's going to grow. You know it's going to keep growing. And you should plan from the beginning to go corner to corner. Whether it be in your house where your Lego room is going to be, in your store, in your collection, wherever, you should just plan on it going to hit maximum capacity, and do it all at one time, and think further ahead than what you may be thinking of. You know, just like everyone, like Zany was talking about the city and what would you do different. Bruce was talking about what he would do differently if he could do it. Same thing with your organization and your storage of your Lego. I didn't really have a very long segment.
I mean, I think the main thing you can get out of that is to not jump into it. You don't have to immediately expand out into a lot of... if you're building a Lego city, you don't have to have a full layout with your base plates laid out in advance. You don't have to have road plates purchased in a certain configuration, because that's what you think you want the final layout to be when you have nothing in between them. It's a waste. You don't have anything going for you at that point. And you're going to limit yourself from actually being creative and changing direction.
Well, that's a creative process. I'm just talking about...
I'm saying, but it's planning. It's also planning for change.
Yeah.
The biggest thing about planning is change management. It's obviously you work in the enterprise. You know that change management is a thing. Change management is more about the mentality that you're going to plan your changes out thoughtfully before you execute them.
Yeah.
That means that you factor that into your lack of planning as well. It means you leave contingency. You don't overcommit when you don't have a full path forward. I've learned that. That's a big thing for me, is to limit myself from jumping in head first when it comes to, oh, I have this idea for a new mock. And I will crank stuff out if I let myself. And
I never learned not to just jump head first.
Yeah, and it's a hard thing. I've been really actively trying to do that and really second guess myself and to sanity check and make sure, is this the right way to do it? Am I going to want to change it in 2 years from now? If I think I'm going to want to change it in 2 years, am I at least laying in the foundation that will support potential changes that I have in mind in advance?
And you're right, that is extremely hard to do. If you're just starting out in the Lego hobby, to think that far ahead, because it grabs you by the balls, and at first you don't realize it's going to do that, you know.
Or you don't think it's going to be you.
Yeah. I won't be like that, Blake. Yeah, right. Yeah. You wait and see.
It's crazy.
It will, and people don't realize the amount of detail. I mean, Mark Cotter is in the comments right now. He has the biggest city, I think, on YouTube, the biggest Lego city.
Yeah.
It's amazing the amount of work that he's put into it, and the amount of planning that must have went into that too is just absurd. Either that, or he just has a ton of space, which he does, and he just has sort of shifted things around as he decided to build whatever he wanted. But it's either way.
That's your next
is insane.
That's your next tea time interviewee, mate.
I don't know if I can ever get Mark Cotter on. I think I would do a tea time with him and do an interview about his background in Lego, and he must. I dare say that he might have never had a dark age with the amount of Lego he has. He probably does. He probably has, but just an insane amount.
I'd love to see that.
You should definitely check it out. Look on Mark Cotter. He's in the comments. Click on his channel. Subscribe to him. He doesn't have a ton of subscribers. I think it finally bumped up somewhat. Uh,
And he
most
should.
amazing Lego city, though. Yeah, that's the thing. And all of it's a mock. He doesn't do any Lego buildings in there, I think, at all. Everything is a mock. He has his own style that he has his own architectural style that he stayed pretty consistent throughout the entire city. It's cool to see builders like that on YouTube. And I try to do something like that with my city, but he just does it at an entirely different scale than me or Down Under.
Yeah.
First, and now you hopping off soon.
So,
Soon.
And I go first.
Oh, good on you, mate.
I'm worn out from working. It was a
Yeah.
lot. It was a lot of effort to do all this because we saw each other earlier today, and I was just starting this. It was a bit of effort.
Just taking what you say there, Zany, too, I'd just like to add to that and just say that the thing I love to see about city builders as well is how they incorporate sets into their city. I'm always blown away by how people will look at things in a different way to myself or to other people and just come up with a Lego set, but it's set out in a completely different format to how you've ever seen it before. And I'm always like, a lot of people say, you know, oh, there's Lego sets in the city, they're all the same. But when you look at the Lego cities, I don't see any that really look the same because they're all laid out in different ways. They add different things in there. They put different themes in there. And a lot of times it comes down to me, especially on YouTube, is the way they tell it in a story as well. And that's what I really like about YouTube cities is the stories people put behind it.
right. Yeah, there's a lot of great ones. There's a lot of ones that seem like they're churning out content for the sake of YouTube, and they usually you can see those ones, but you see people who actually, it's almost like that investment into the city. They care more about what their vision is than what will get them more views. And that's the key tipping point, I think, too. Is if I ever got to that point, I wouldn't want to do YouTube anymore.
Yeah. And yeah, I totally get where you're coming from there because a lot of people say to me, you know, do a city update, and I could just do an update with exactly what I've got and put a different story behind it. But for me personally, I like to have something new to show with the city. And it's not to say that I don't enjoy those stories, but yeah, for me, it's definitely about what I've been able to do with the city, and that's why I haven't done an update for so long, because I haven't been able to do anything with the city itself. So I'm definitely keen to get back into my city updates shortly. Stay tuned.
That's good. I think I'm committed to doing one in March. So next month I'll release one video, and it will be that
video.
And that one video. Yeah.
What happened when everybody used to do at least a monthly city update video? What happened to the days?
I never participated in that practice. I was actually anti-city update altogether until there was a completed city.
Yeah,
But,
I know. We have to string your city together across photographs from Instagram.
yeah, basically, that's what you do. If you want to see what my city looks like,
It's a stop motion of Zany's city.
Yeah. You can rebuild. I think you can rebuild, or at least I could rebuild my entire city based on just my Instagram account. If I needed to, in a catastrophic insurance, type thing.
I've got to say I've never subscribed to the first of the month city update syndrome. It's
I don't. I think it's the people who
my
care more
life
about
is
YouTube than Lego.
I've got too much shit going on in my life to be able to nail down, say I can guarantee that this is what I'm going to give you. You know, so you get it when you get it, basically.
I tried.
I tried. I take my hat off to those guys because I don't know how they can maintain it. There's been a lot of people that have done it for a long time, and I think I don't know how they can keep it going. But yeah,
I take my hat off to you guys just for having the cojones to show off what you do and being confident in yourself. And, you know.
Well, I've got to say there, Big B, I must admit, like, I put off for like 18 months, 2 years before I started my channel, and it has been a massive boost to myself. Like, you wouldn't believe it, but I'm normally a pretty quiet sort of guy, so it has been a massive boost to my self-esteem, I guess you'd say, is having the YouTube channel and just being able to reach out and bond and make friends with other people. And I said it in a video the other day when I congratulated Aussie, and I'll say it again, congratulations, mate, on your 1,000 subs. Well done. It's the friends we make in this YouTube community, and if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be doing it, because it's just it's really blown my mind how many great people we have in the community, and that's what I'm doing it for now. It started out to share my love of Lego, but now it's about all you guys and being mates and participating in streams and just having a good time, basically.
Right, and yeah, there's a great. I mean, the Lego community is awesome. That's what it comes down to. I don't even create many videos, so I'll post a video once a month. I think is what the tempo is going to be for a while, but I still want to participate in the community because I can get great feedback. There's actually it's a great community. It's extremely supportive. I've never seen a community quite like this one. So, good stuff.
I think I post too many videos, and I don't really enjoy making the straight haul videos.
So here's the thing. I've learned this. This is the most important YouTube lesson that I've learned, and I will share this with everyone. If you don't feel like making a video, you are not a professional. You're not a professional. That's what it comes down to. If you don't feel like making a video, you should not be making a video, because you're not an actor. You don't know how to act well enough to make that video convincing. You have to feel it. If you're not an actor, you have to actually feel what you're expressing to be able to come across as you expressing that feeling.
Yeah, there's some hauls that are obvious that I'm looking forward to this. This was something that is going inside the house and not in the store, you know. But the ones that are going in the store, it's just like, hey, here's some more fucking base plates, you know, like, yay.
That's the last thing, and I've learned that, and I've accepted that. I don't create videos unless if I actually feel like making a video, even if that means I go a month between making videos. Fuck it.
Yeah.
It's better to make good videos when I do make them.
And I've got to say that, because I cop a fair bit of shit from Aussie, you know, because I'll say about a set, you know, I love this set, I like this set, and the reason I do is because I wanted to buy it. That's why I bought it. I didn't buy it for any other reason than I wanted it, you know. So, yeah, of course, sometimes you're going to buy a set and you're going to be disappointed with it, and I'll point that out. But on the whole, I bought it because I want it, you know. So I don't review things that I'm not going to want myself and I'm not going to enjoy. I couldn't bring myself to do that. So, yeah.
There's also sets that suck that we buy and we still love just because of what it's going to do with our kids, you know.
Yeah.
Because of how our kids are going to react to it. And there's been some, I mean, I am not ecstatic over these junior sets, but, you know, seeing my daughter into building those and into being able to be the one that said, I'm running the police department and I'm running the fire department and you got your train, but I've got this, is awesome. Yeah. And that's why I love those sets. There's a giant panel, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, the sets are awesome, though. They have printed elements in them, like the new Iron Man versus Loki set.
Oh, yeah, the little micro ones, those are great, you know?
Yeah.
Highly recommend those sets for people with small children who are constantly eating the pieces like my daughter.
Or if you are just somebody looking for like a Loki minifig, buy the new Iron Man versus Loki $10 Juniors set that has both those minifigs and then some new printed tiles and other stuff.
Yeah.
It's stuff like that. I mean, you can find some of those minifigs in those small sets.
Like I did with the Superman, the Spider-Man set to get the Green Goblin, and now he's coming out.
The Green Goblin's a perfect example.
That was a good set to get a Green Goblin out of, though. Like, that's an expensive set to get Green Goblin.
Had to do a few Lego swapping deals to get that, but no.
Yeah.
So it is 1 a.m. and that means that we're done. So fuck off and go home. End this.